I just did a really cool referral project where we sent our top referrers Lego flower kits and we had a little note saying, "Your referrals help our business bloom." And people loved it. They were sending us pictures of their kids building the Legos, saying that it's such a creative and different idea.
Sharp strategies, sweet success. All right, thank you everyone, and welcome to Sharp Strategies, Sweet Success. This is your host, Tiffany Swedensky, and today I am here with Nicole Rego, who is a marketing director for the Monteforte law firm in Boston, Massachusetts. I tried to merge those city and state names. And I've known her for several years. Mike Monteforte was a part of GLM for a long time. When I was working there, I've seen both of them at events. Nicole, for a little while, was a part of my marketing director mastermind group and really appreciated having her. What they do up there is estate planning, which is a super fun practice area for marketing because it has many avenues of productization and many cool ways we can target our target audience where, like in personal injury, we can't really do that as much. So I always think estate planning is really fun. But that's what I know of Nicole, and I'm going to turn it over to her and let her finish out the introduction.
Yeah, so thank you. That was a great intro. I have been with Monteforte Law going on, I think 7 years now. And you're right. Estate planning's kind of fun. It's one of those practice areas where there isn't any urgency. So you have to be creative and figuring out how can you create that urgency and make people want to buy. It's very different from personal injury. We're not promising you money if we win. You have to pay us. So it's one of those things where your marketing has to get creative. And no one really wants to talk about estate planning because it's one of those tough taboo topics. So it's a lot of fun. It's definitely something where I didn't see myself ever being in this practice area or this world, but I'm glad to be in it.
Let that be my first question then. Like when you, what career path did you expect to go down and how did you end up in law firm marketing?
Yeah, so I went to school for marketing and international business. So I always saw myself doing some sort of hybrid of the two, marketing for, maybe countries overseas or companies over there. And then I realized like that doesn't really happen that often. So let me kind of look at what's here, the international business side. I don't really want to be going and traveling and doing all these crazy trips all the time. I have a young daughter, so it just wouldn't work out that way. So I really started to think about what kind of marketing I'd want to do. And I kind of thought social media marketing would be the way I'd go. And so Mike's the owner of Monteforte Law. He posted a job ad when I was a sophomore in college for part-time social media marketing. And I could literally walk to the law firm from my house. So like, this would be perfect. This would be great. And then I've just never left. So it was a good avenue. I definitely didn't do as much social media in the beginning as I thought I was going to be doing. It was a lot more website content and things, but it's been a lot of fun.
And how long have you been with Mike and the law firm?
I'm going on 7 years. Sometimes it feels like less, sometimes it feels like more, but it will be 7 years that I've been with Mike, and I was part-time all throughout college, and then he snagged me to be full-time really shortly after I graduated. I worked for a different company full-time for like a few months after graduation. Mike's like, "No, I am going to make sure that we have the budget for a full-time marketer. You bring a lot to the table. It's really an investment if I bring you on full-time. At small companies, it's hard. It's one of those where if they're paying someone else, they're not paying themselves. So you kind of have to work your way up and show your worth. And luckily I did. And now Mike couldn't get rid of me if he tried, I think."
I was telling somebody the other day, because they were talking about just generally fear of being fired. And I know this person a little bit, so I know enough about him to say, like, for the most part, if you're like competent, like if you're just halfway competent, small business owners aren't going to fire you because it's too hard to find a replacement. So like, honestly, it's kind of easy to impress the bosses because you just have to be, somewhat competent at your job and they're never going to fire you.
Right. And you wear so many hats when you're in a small business. Like, yeah, my role is marketing, but I do a lot of business management and things along those lines too, where it's you kind of grow with the company when it's small, and that's something I value and I like. And yeah, it is job security in the sense of where am I going to go? I don't know if Mike would know how to do payroll without me. But I also do all of the marketing. So it's one of those where you can wear a bunch of different hats. And I like that. I like the change in the day to day. But it's not for the week.
Yeah. Actually, talking to somebody else today, I don't know where exactly they came from, but they were basically telling me like I'm used to dealing with like one or two accounts and we're dealing with like five. And it's like, yeah, I bet that is a challenge. And I mean, it's the same thing when you're the head of so many different departments. You have to switch gears, switch mindsets, and just like move to the next task or next collection of tasks. That is really difficult.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you have to advocate for yourself eventually, right? Like I can't wear all these hats and do them all well. So when I started taking on a little bit more of the business management side, that's when I advocated for getting a marketing assistant. And it's some of those things where don't be afraid to speak up and say what you need and what help you need in order to do your job well. I think a lot of people, that's something that they fear is speaking up, "Oh, I don't know how to go to my boss and ask for the tools I need in order to succeed." And luckily, Mike is an awesome boss and really understanding. And I know that's not common or the normal all the time, especially with big corporations. But that's my number one. Like, don't be afraid to ask for what you need to do your job well.
So one of the questions I wanted to ask you, and I think I end up asking everyone, but what are the tools that you're using right now? Like, what are your top three marketing or just job related tools that you're just in love with, can't live without right now?
So, number one kind of surprised me. It wasn't a tool I thought would take off as much as it did this quarter, and that's local service ads. And I know that those are like, people love them, people hate them. I will say it's a different world for estate planning. It's a little bit easier to be competitive in the estate planning market, especially when it comes to Google ads. We're not spending 20 grand a month where, PI firms do. But we have gotten, I don't know, 58% of our referrals from quarter one from Google, and almost 40% was from local service. And it kind of blew my mind that it's taking off in the way it is. Um, that's always up and down. It's always something we'll do and be present in. But now I'm definitely going to invest more in it and see if it increases. So that's number one. So shockingly, wouldn't have thought it was. Number two, we're doing a lot with referrals. We're trying to use the tribe we have. We've already worked so hard to get these people on our lists. We do a monthly referral newsletter. And I think that's something that a lot of folks have let die is that like showing up in people's mailbox in print marketing. And that's something, especially with estate planning, we kind of have the old days. They like it when we show up in their mailbox. They might not be on TikTok or Instagram. Facebook, they're definitely on there. But other than that, it's hard to get in front of those people and they don't really know Google or know it well enough to navigate or trust it. So I think direct mail is huge, especially on the referral side, showing up in their mailboxes. How many emails do attorneys get a day or financial advisors or people that we want their clients to come work with us? They just probably hundreds. So it's showing up in different places. I just did a really cool referral project where we sent our top referrers Lego flower kits and we had a little note saying, "Your referrals help our business bloom." And people loved it. They were sending us pictures of their kids building the Legos, saying that it's such a creative and different idea. And I think they cost like $30 to send out. It was an inexpensive, fun gift that keeps us top of mind. So just thinking outside of the box and being fun with your referral marketing, I think, is what we're trying to do a better job at. And now we're trying to make our client experience better. I think that's a market where us and probably a lot of other people forget is you should continue to market to your current clients and more than just emails and newsletters. Like, how else can you make their experience top tier? So now when people finish their estate plan with us, at 6 o'clock that night, crumble cookies are showing up at their door. And it's something that, I don't know, it's a cheap little thing. Who doesn't love a crumble cookie? And now they're going to go tell everyone their lawyers bought them cookies, and then they're going to want that lawyer because it's cool.
The crumble cookie thing, like I've been on a diet for like the past 6 months and like every now and then I get tempted. You'll drive by a crumble and it's like, those are pretty dope, but it's like, I can't. I miss crumble cookies. Um, so I liked what you said about the print newsletter. I mean, honestly, both local service ads and print newsletters, business owners run so hot and cold on those. Some people love them, some people hate them, some people can't live without them, some people wouldn't spend the money. And I mean, it's kind of bizarre that both, print and this digital thing live in that space. But, with print newsletters, the way I was thinking about it is that I have somebody's newsletter sitting over here next to me, and I've actually been through it. I need to throw it away, but every time I pick it up, it's kind of heavy. There are pages to it, and I almost feel bad for throwing it away. It's like, oh, if they knew I'd throw this away, they'd have their hearts broken or something, which is completely irrational. But that's the sensation I get just lifting that newsletter is like somebody put work in it.
Yeah.
And with digital, there's so many things with digital that are just so easy to fake, but you really can't fake like a hefty newsletter with good content that you care about that looks nice.
Yeah.
And then it lives on a desk for 2-3 weeks before I finally work up the courage to throw it away. It's
Right. And we find that we also try to show that we're people in that, not just big scary lawyers. Especially like these are going out to people we know and like, and they already trust us and like us too. So we're putting in personal stories or updates about the firm or, work anniversaries, things like that. And we find that that actually does better than when we just fill it with legal jargon. No one really cares. Or we try to do really fun spins on estate planning. Like we'll talk about a celebrity who died and do their estate plan. Or if they didn't have an estate plan, the mess that it caused. And that's the kind of stuff people want to read. Like who doesn't want to keep up with the Kardashians? We have a blog on them. So it's some fun stuff like that where you have to make a boring topic interesting to the everyday person.
I was scrolling through social media the other day. I think it's TikTok, and I follow a bunch of law firms for obvious reasons. And, I find it easier to like the videos that are just 100% personality.
Mhm.
The ones about like, how does contributory negligence affect your case? That's a good video for, you know, somebody who's recently been in a car accident. But if you're looking for that like long-term engagement where people see your content and engage with it, most people aren't doing that for educational stuff. They're doing that for cute videos of your wife cooking food or how you're going to handle growing grass on one part of your farm. I don't know if anyone, I'm talking about some specific people. I don't know if they listen to my podcast. They're going to be like, she talked about my name. But, those are easy to engage with, easy for me to engage with, and easy for the average person who hasn't been in a car accident or isn't thinking about estate planning. And that's the magic, but I think for many attorneys, it's, like, hard to think like that. It's like, "Well, shouldn't I be talking about the law? Like, shouldn't I be
Yeah,
why" you know?
they pay for all this education and then they just want to go and tell you all of it. And you're like, I'm very confused. Like, plain English to me, please. I don't know what you mean. And that's one of the things. It's funny you bring up TikTok. I forced Mike to do TikTok and he was like, this is dumb. We'll never get a client. And I'm like, it's not about getting a client. It's just about being out there and showing that we're people and that we can have fun and still be educational. But, we'll go on TikTok and talk about celebrity estates, or we'll go on TikTok and it's like a funny meme that's going around and I'm making Mike do it. There's a few of him dancing on there and he hates me for it, but it matters. I just want to show we're not scary lawyers. And, that legal jargon doesn't matter as much as the person does. People just want to work with people.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're definitely in the influencer era of marketing, and it's kind of nice because like we work with small business owners and all small business owners have good foundations to become influencers. They have stuff to talk about that's going to be interesting to other people. They have interesting lives. They probably have the spare time to make this kind of content. But a lot of people are still thinking about the brand of the law firm when they think of marketing, as opposed to, I guess, that personal marketing or that personal development. But it's interesting because we do connect more with the individual, and that's the type of thing I want to see on my social media channels.
I think branding is somewhat important. And I know that sounds scary because, we're never going to be Amazon or Apple, and we don't want to be. We don't want to be a 30 firm, attorney firm, just being an engine, not knowing who our clients are, making it transactional and not relationship based, it's not who we want to be. So, yeah, it's great when people see our logo and know who we are, but that's not the whole point of my marketing. Isn't just, oh, you see this logo, you know it's Mana for you off. Point of my marketing is to show, hey, we care, we're experts, and we can actually help you protect everything you've worked your whole life for. And that's sort of the angle. It's not, oh, I want to make sure my logo is everywhere on billboards and then they know who I am. That doesn't help as much as knowing like your attorney personally and being able to, especially in estate planning, it's sensitive. This is things people have worked their whole lives for. They want to make sure that they trust the person they're working with. It's not like I rear-ended someone and I'm going to get a bunch of dough. It's something I've spent my whole life building and now I want to pass on to my kids or the next generation. And how do I do that in a way that I can actually understand and trust the person sitting across from me?
Yeah, brand is absolutely important. And I've been like all over the place mentally when it comes to brand marketing and does it work? Is it trackable? And I mean, a lot of times brand marketing just isn't trackable. One of my friends runs TV ads, and ever since we started running them, cases keep coming in and going up, up, up. But like, I looked at it, and last year, I think only 20 people out of the thousands who called us, and well, yeah, I guess thousands. I'm trying to make sure I'm not exaggerating. Like only 20 of those are mention the TV ads, yet, we're seeing all this anecdotal stuff. So, and that's traditional brand marketing, and we're not seeing an ROI on it on paper. But at the same time, like the timelines match up. And it's
Mhm.
just like, you almost don't want to cut this off because it is doing something and it's getting people to remember who your firm is, the personality of it, and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Or
It's funny you say that. I feel like a lot of marketing is detective work, like you said, trying to figure out how do these people find me? What am I doing that's actually working? Because, everyone says online or Google. And then when you kind of deep dive the numbers, you realize, oh, it was a Facebook ad actually. And then they Googled me or, word of mouth. And then they're looking me up. So it's hard, man, to track those numbers.
think about like how much as marketing directors we have to train and inform the attorneys, the intake team, other people working in the office. I mean, I don't know if you guys work with Lead Docket or something similar, but Lead Docket has marketing source and contact source. And, I've had to explain like 2 or 3 times to the same person. Marketing source is how they've heard of us. Contact source is how they contact us, like phone call, web forms, something like that. And, I was thinking, like, how unreliable first party data must be. Because the people who we talk to regularly and train on this marketing attribution stuff sometimes still don't quite get it. And yet, we're kind of expecting, somebody who picks up the phone who's had a legal issue, who's maybe scared, or, even if they're not scared about their issue, just scared calling an attorney and talking to them. You think they're thinking that critically about how they first heard about your brand? I don't.
No.
So, yeah, it's just we love that first party data, but I just think it's a lot more flawed than people want to think it is.
For sure. And it's funny you say like, oh, you have to talk to the attorney in intake. There have been so many times where I've rolled out a marketing campaign or a marketing strategy, and then I forget to tell intake I did this. So I'm like, oh, how did they hear about us? That new flyer insert I did? And they're like, what insert did you do? And I'm like, oh my God, like, because my mind is running on so many things that I just think everyone knows what's going on. And that was very early when I was started with Mike, where I realized that gap. And it's one of those things where you really are part of a team and your whole team needs to know what's going on when it comes to your marketing, because how else can you track it accurately? If they don't know what questions to ask, you're never going to get the answers that you're looking for.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that's really crucial, because the intake team definitely needs to know what the marketing team is doing. And in a lot of ways, I still think of them as separate departments, the intake department and the marketing department, because the intake department can get kind of big, at a certain type of firm, right? But like, there still needs to be like a real closeness between these two departments because, if one doesn't know what the other is doing, it can get ugly really fast. I mean, losing leads, getting a bunch of bad leads that we weren't meant to get. I mean, there's so many problems. If I can, I always try to have the intake teams on our marketing meetings. so they can hear and be part of it. But that's tough to do because they're always answering phones.
Yeah,
So
it's easier said than done for sure. It's one of those where it took a lot of trial and error to figure out how much should intake know from the marketing standpoint and vice versa. You know, I'm looking and, our appointments may be down, but our leads are up and I'm confused. And then I'm realizing intake isn't calling them back. Then that's problem number one. Or, they're bad leads and that has nothing to do with our practice area. Like the problems could arise from either side. So it's hard because they are completely different, but we overlap so much that the communication has to be there.
Oh yeah, I can live without it. Like, and it's I really like hearing from the intake teams, like the trends that are happening on the phones, because I mean that's like where the rubber meets the road, and you can learn like a lot of things just by hearing like what kind of call did we get? We got a civil justice call. Somebody's trying to sue the government for cracking the sidewalk. We shouldn't be getting that.
That
I mean,
actually happened. We kept getting all these calls for practice areas that had nothing to do with us. So all right, now it's time to deep dive. One may be okay, but 10 is weird. And Google ended up putting a bunch of practice areas they thought we did on our on the Google business page. And I was like, why did you didn't even ask me. You just go ahead and put car accident and personal injury, and we are far from it. Do not call us if you have a personal injury. We'll refer you, but we can't do it. And I didn't realize that Google could even just add things that they wanted themselves. So now it's something we monitor, but without intake telling us that, we would have no idea it was even there.
Google's making a ton of changes to Google Business right now. This week, and I don't know if it's a localized issue, like it's only affecting like a small amount of accounts or all of them, but we suddenly lost the ability to ask questions on the Google Business profile as a regular user. Like we can still ask questions, like, the Google ask a question, post and answer
Yeah.
thing. Like I can still ask it as Tiffany, fractional CMO who's connected to the account. I can go on there and ask a question. But we figured out that normal people who aren't already tied to the account can't. I've been
Hmm.
trying to figure that out. Yeah.
I'm looking at that after because I don't know if it affected us.
Yeah. Well, and then just some other weirdness, and I'm kind of expecting in like 2 weeks for there to be an announcement of like new algorithm update for Google Business or something like that.
Yeah. Well, a few weeks
Um,
ago, it was the reviews were they were missing, but then they weren't. It was just the number
mhm.
wasn't reflected. And LinkedIn was mayhem during those few weeks. And I was kind of using my birthday as an in. I was like, oh, for my birthday, leave us a review. And it worked. People left reviews. So it was great. But it was one of those things where it's there's no winning with Google. You just have to play their game.
Yeah. Something else that's kind of hinky sometimes and just public, FYI for everyone listening. But local service ads in your Google business profile are connected. So even if in local service ads you're only bidding for like a certain case type, like you updated it, you're only supposed to get estate planning leads. But like let's say your Google business profile has just a lawyer, one of those generic categories on there, or insurance attorney or something else, something that's not estate planning, you will still get, those leads through your local service ads account until you take those off your Google business profile. So like it's using both those things for signals. And like, you wouldn't find that out unless, somebody tells you or you stumble upon it yourself. And
Yeah.
so it's really important to keep track of the kind of cases coming through these pipelines. So you mentioned you're doing a lot of stuff for referrals. You don't have to give away all your secrets, but what are some of the things you're doing?
So I mentioned the print newsletter. That's huge. We're consistent with it. So that goes out every month. And we do it all in house. A lot of people think because we're a small business, we don't have the manpower to kind of get all these things and put all these projects in motion. We do everything in house. I think we have about 120 names on our referral list. And those always are filtering in and out. Like who's our best, who hasn't really referred us anything. Keeping track of that is really important. You'd be surprised who ends up being your best referral partners versus people you thought were going to be the best and then weren't. I think that's something a lot of folks don't do a great job at is, oh, I was referred to you. That's great. By who? Who referred us to you? That's something that we track really heavily in our firm. And then we reward based off that. We like to do little gifts. We'll show up. One time we just filled popcorn bags and went to a bunch of offices and we said we were popping by. and bringing popcorn. So I'm really fun on like the play with words. I'm like that girly pop marketing where I like to make it cutesy and fun and rememberable. And it works. People like to send us business because they know they're going to get a little gift or we're going to pop by with the little something, and it makes a big difference. And it's like you wouldn't think a bag of popcorn makes a difference, but I got like 12 clients from it. So it's kind of crazy what, little effort you really have to do in order to get big results. I just think it's important to stay as creative and fun as possible. So that way you're standing out because, we're probably not the only estate planner on their referral list, but we might be their number one because we care enough to keep up with them. And then something else we do too is we make sure that we keep them informed throughout the whole client journey too. A lot of people fall off at that point, oh, you referred them to us, great. We're going to let you know if they hired us, if they didn't, what's going on. They just finished with us. Thank you so much. I think people like to be informed so that way they kind of look like the hero in the end. That's what people really want. They want to look like the hero. Like, oh, I sent you to such a great firm. Look at how great I am. And that's exactly what we want. We want you to be the hero. Keep sending them our way.
Most businesses do very little when it comes to referrals, referral gifts, and a lot of people are really inconsistent about it. And so,
Mhm.
you might do something once a year and, people forget that stuff. And then when you're doing just really generic things, when you're not really trying to make it memorable, it's like, oh, let's send everyone on our Christmas list, Yeti tumbler, or
Yeah.
something been done to death, that kind of stuff. It doesn't, one, doing anything at all is better than doing like nothing. But being consistent and then showing up different, that's
Yeah.
really important. And I mean, I love the just popping by. That's so cute.
Yeah. So cute. And that's something that we do too. Like we stopped doing Christmas gifts because everyone does Christmas gifts. So now we're doing welcome, a spring gift, the flowers bloom Lego thing. I have some good ideas for the fall. I'm trying to show up when other people aren't. And I think that's something that helps us stand out because during the holiday season, they're not really keeping track of what's coming in because a bunch is coming in. When you start sending things on those off months or off seasons, that's when they start to pay attention.
I really do appreciate an unexpected gift. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I get referral gifts myself from time to time, and it always is just a nice little thrill on the day, unless it's just something totally lame. But even a koozie would make me happy. You guys are on LinkedIn a lot. I see Mike up in there. Are you doing LinkedIn yourself, or are you doing it mostly for him? How are you guys handling that these days?
A mix. Mike Ree took over his own LinkedIn because it was just trying to make it more personalized. I think LinkedIn has become a good platform over the last few years where people are treating it more like social media, where you're kind of getting life updates and life events, but you're getting the business side of things too. And I think it's good marketing that way. That's the way it should be used. So I've been trying to do it. I'm less consistent with it as much as I really shouldn't be. I should be more consistent in posting on there because when I do post, I get good interactions and I get good likes. But I just am not posting enough. And it's one of those where I keep saying I'm going to get to it and then I just don't. But we're really active on the business Facebook, LinkedIn page, which I think makes a big difference too. We're trying to show more of the staff and the firm rather than make it feel salesy and, lead to all these blogs or reports or things. We're really trying to show the life and the people that are working with us. So that way, you know who you're going to work with or who you're going to refer to.
So is you mentioned in the beginning, like when you got started, you wanted to do social media, and then initially your job wasn't very much social media. Is it now? Because I do see you guys posting quite a bit of stuff, and I really like it.
Thanks. Yes. So now I definitely pushed a lot more. When I started with Mike, he used his personal Instagram as the firm Instagram and his personal Facebook as the firm Facebook. And I think those are very common in small businesses and, 1 to 2 employee firms. A lot of solos, they kind of just mix all of it together. And I was like, let's take a minute. Let's just make everything separate so that way people have a dedicated place to go to. And it sort of became my baby and it's really taken off. And I like the social media aspect. My marketing assistant helps a lot. We do daily posts, so we're always trying to stay top of mind. But it's one of those things where I actually like that part. I like being creative and coming up with fun posts or what's the next celebrity blog. We just did one on the Menendez brothers because that's such a big case. And it's like, that's the part I love. I love taking those things and turning an estate planning side or even a probate or however we can fit it into the mix side of things. And then educating people in a way that's not boring because estate planning can be boring. And I think social media is just going to skyrocket even more than it already has. So in order to stay relevant, you have to be on every platform.
And what I started telling my marketing teams, and you touched on it, like talking about the celebrity cases, is social media is a lot of times telling stories. And if you're on TikTok or Instagram, I'll get a lot of these like gals who doing their makeup and telling, stories from whatever niche they're in. There's one girl who was in prison and I follow her because she tells like prison stories while she's doing her makeup. I love it.
Plus, I like it. Is that the same one as she like looks up the people she was doing time with to see what their crime was? I follow one that it's amazing.
She's done that? I'm not sure if it's the same one. This gal is, like, blonde, and she has, like, a really, like, high voice. She's really sweet. But I guess she did prison for shoot, what was it? It was, like, armed oh, gee. Now she's doing makeup on Instagram, and I follow her. I love it, like, it's good stuff, but, she goes on there, and sometimes it's her stories, like, what happened to her, but a lot of times it's like stories about like other prisoners or other people who got caught up in similar situations or like stuff that, she's heard before. And a lot of times like my feed, and I'm old, I'm an old person now. And when I go through my feed, I'm like seeing stories. It's like I already knew that. Like we talked about that like 10 years ago, 5 years ago.
Yeah.
But the things are new to somebody.
Mhm.
And I'm trying to, like, coach the marketing teams and, like, particularly the lawyers who wanna participate and wanna be on social media. It's like, think of the stories that you learned, heard in law school, somewhere else, things that are interesting. Just that's just the criteria. It has to be interesting enough to be a story. And, a lot of times that's all your social media plan needs to be is just like, how can we tell like a lot of really good, interesting stories? And there are a ton out there. I mean,
So many.
not a
Yeah, so many. And I think that's something that we do well. And it's one of those things where not a lot of people do. Like, it doesn't have to be your story for you to tell it. It can be a story about one of your clients or, a disaster that happened because they didn't plan or, long term care disaster. And now there's liens on the homes. Those are things people think about, like, oh, shoot, is that going to happen to me? I better call them so it doesn't, and it's one of those, if you make it interesting and relatable, then people will actually stay. And next thing you know, you're in an 8-minute TikTok video and you're still watching the damn thing. That's sort of what we try to do.
I definitely I catch myself learning like history lessons, and I'm like watching this video for 3 minutes and it's just like, oh, I make dinner. Like, what am I doing? Um And but I mean, that's all it takes, and I think when law firms look at social media, I don't know exactly what they have in their head, but it's a lot more complicated than just sitting down with your phone and telling an interesting story. But that's all it is. That's all it needs to be sometimes.
Yeah, you just have to start somewhere. I think people overthink it. I don't know where to start. I don't know what to do. No one's going to listen. And that's true. No one's going to listen at first. You just have to stay at it and stay consistent. And then it's going to grow over time. And videos you don't think are going to pop off are going to pop off. And then, you'll keep getting more of those as you keep going. Some of our TikToks get 5 likes, some get 50, some get 100. It's one of those where you just have to stay at it and you never know what's going to take off. So just post it off.
Yeah. That and I felt like I wanted to say this earlier because you said something that made me think of it, but it's really important to approach these things, social media marketing, whatever, um, by managing your expectations because you don't know what's going to work and what's going to not work. And, sometimes you get your hopes really, really high for something and then it falls just completely flat. So it's just really important if you're building a marketing campaign, making it creative, making a video, to just make it, put it out there, see how it does, and don't like rest your confidence or your self-worth on this one creative that you thought was gonna hit and it doesn't, you know?
Right.
And then a video that took you 10 seconds that you kind of low key hated, you thought you looked goofy, like goes viral or something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Marketing is all about adding. It's always something and, you're adding and you're doing more videos or, we're on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram and Facebook. There's no right answer for marketing, Facebook could be great this quarter and the next quarter it falls. So it is a lot of trial and error, but it's more about like what you said, just going in and open-minded and just keep always adding. Do everything you can to the best of your ability with the knowledge you have. And some things are going to take off and some things aren't. There have been many marketing projects where I'm like, that was dumb. I probably shouldn't have done that one. But now we learn and you move on. And it's important that you try. And I think if you are trying, give it 90 days. People are quick to jump out before they really see the results. So stay 90 days. If it's not working, get out.
Yeah. 90 days, it's always a good rule. Was there anything that we didn't talk about that you wanted to talk about or something that you wanted to talk about a little bit more?
No, I think we hit everything. I think just when it comes to marketing, I'm really big on just being creative and being yourself. I think that if you try to fit into a bubble or, you're trying to push ideas or content that you don't actually agree with and that you're not impressed by or that really gets you fired up, then it's probably not worth doing. I think that if you want to be as successful at marketing, especially in the legal field, you have to do something you're passionate about. And a lot of small businesses are really good at letting you kind of be yourself and be the marketer you want to be. So if you're thinking about joining the legal world and legal marketing area, I definitely recommend starting at a small firm where your voice has more say.
Almost paradoxical because, like, you think going into legal marketing, it's going to be super serious. But, like, you work for a small business, depending on the firm you work for, it is sometimes the exact opposite of super serious, at least the marketing side. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. We're not serious up on a 40 law. Unless it comes to your estate plan, then we're very serious.
I mean, yeah, for with the stuff that counts, super serious. But new marketers, it's always so cute to me when they're like, I know the legal stuff, and it's like, neither do I.
Yeah. Mike always jokes, I knew nothing about estate planning before joining the firm. I had never been in the legal world before joining the firm. I was in college. I'd never talked to a lawyer. And now he jokes that, I know just as much as the attorneys and I could sell it just as well. It's one of those, once you're in it, you learn it. You don't need to know that stuff. When Mike hired me, he didn't ask me about my marketing or my legal or anything. We really just had a conversation. He went off of how he felt and the vibe that he got and who I am, because you spend your whole day with these people. You spend more time at work than you do at home sometimes. So you have to like who you work with and like what you do. And I think that matters more than, do you know PI or estate planning or medical mal? Like, you don't need to know that stuff.
And that's such good advice, but so hard to put in practice. You have to like the people that you work with, and it means like finding the right team to be part of, and then like making the right choice when you feel like it's the wrong place for you or something, which
Right.
tremendously difficult for anyone, really. All right. Well, I really appreciate you coming on, being a guest. Great. It was a great episode. I really love the conversations we have. I love it when I get to talk to marketers because the attorneys and the other vendors, typically don't have the boots on the ground experience we do, working with the attorneys the way we do. And like that's just part of it just doesn't get talked about enough. And every
Right.
marketing director ends up feeling like they're on an island. So I really appreciate it. I hope the marketing directors who listen loved it.
We're all on an island together.
We're just like, what is that called? A collection of islands, Hawaii? Yeah,
Mhm. That's where we are. That sounds nice right now.
I know it really does. Well, thanks so much, Nicole. And where can people find you if they want to learn more about you?
I'm on LinkedIn, so feel free to look there, just Nicole Rego, or you can always email me, nicole@monofortylaw.com. I'm pretty quick at both places, so whatever you want.
Awesome. Thanks again so much, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Bye.